The most unethical basketball player. The most unethical hooper in the hoops. Let's see. Hold on, I gotta move my camera. Okay, bet.
True to the game, plays basketball the way it was meant to be played.
All right, hold on. This video is titled "The Most Unethical Hooper in Basketball" by Jimmy High Roller. Let's see.
The ethical hooper, a player who is true to the game, plays basketball the way it was meant to be played. No flopping, no stat padding, just pure hoops. And the opposite of the unethical hooper, the player who relies on foul baiting and gimmicks and a barrage of free throws to fill the stat sheet.
Who do you feel it is?
Right now,
one, I wanted it to be James Harden, but it's not going to be James Harden. He changed his play style over the last couple of years.
Is building at the moment, with some fans claiming his historic season has been propped up with foul hunting and an absurd free throw volume manufactured from gimmicks and tricks that are a disservice to the game. But if Shai is a foul grifter, a free throw merchant, then I've got some bad news about some of your all-time favorite players.
No, real talk. Because Jordan, Kobe, LeBron, AI.
Today's video is sponsored by DraftKings.
Those are fucking foul hunters right there.
And whether your team is playing for a title or they're somewhere on a beach in Cancun, my partners at DraftKings are here to keep you in on the action.
Won't promote betting. Won't promote betting.
NBA MVP race continues to grow closer and closer. Fans across the league are finding
if it was any other ad, we would have let it rock.
Side between two players having historically great seasons: the impossibly good Serbian gunning for his 4th MVP, or the superstar guard looking to break a 6-year chokehold. Big man.
I ain't gonna lie. I wouldn't be mad if Shai won MVP. I'm not gonna lie. Who feels otherwise? I wouldn't feel mad if Shai won MVP.
Like free throws. Now, basketball isn't much of a thinking man's sport, but leave it up to us to create a philosophical divide amongst the type of players we like and don't like. On one side, you have the locally sourced, all-natural, ethical hoopers. And on the other, you have players who essentially rely on a bag of tricks and gimmicks to navigate games and get free buckets from the line.
Not on either.
Do I believe basketball actually has any sort of moral code?
No.
No. In fact, the idea of a morally superior basketball player seemed like a joke until it entered the vocabulary of head coaches around the league, making it about as real as anything else. But there is something of head coaches around the league, making it about as real as anything else.
NBA fans roasted JJ Redick for calling Kyrie Irving an ethical scorer on ESPN's NBA Finals broadcast.
But there is something distinctly different about these two styles of play, both aesthetically and productively. The real question is how reliant on free throws these alleged unethical hoopers are, and are they truly earning their trips to the free throw line, or are they tampering the game with their bag of tricks?
No,
and
I don't.
Question we all
SGA is going
Shai
crazy,
Alexander
bro.
and his game even warrant the label of unethical? Now, one way to approach this question is simply by looking at the rate at which players are attempting free throws. When looking at a metric like free throw attempts per field goal attempt, SGA ranks 24th among all players this season. Behind players like Trae Young, Damian Lillard, Anthony Davis, Giannis, and even an aging James Harden, who was able to escape the claims of foul baiting and stat padding years ago. So just purely looking at the rate at which players are drawing fouls, SGA isn't doing anything out of the ordinary. But to better understand Shai's scoring profile, we need to look at the kinds of fouls Shai draws and where they're coming from. Most shooting fouls don't happen out here, they happen in here. Players that stay aggressive and drive the ball more tend to put more pressure on the defense and draw more fouls. This is why a player like Dwayne Wade, for example, who spent his prime years attempting 10 free throws a game, was never associated with any foul hunting.
Dwayne Wade was fire. He earned this shit.
The player who drives to the basket far more than anyone else in the entire league is Shai. In fact, nearly half of all of his free throws
are generated
through his drives to the basket. And again, if we look at the rate these drive leaders are drawing fouls on their drives, Shai is getting calls at an average rate, far from what you might see from other superstars both past and present. Which brings us to a
hold on. Zion, Cam Thomas, Anthony Edwards, Frank Wagner, RJ Barrett, James Harden, John Morant, Luka Doncic, Jalen Brunson, Trae Young, Shea. Right? Then we got De'Aaron Fox, LaMelo Ball, Jalen Williams, DeJounte Murray, Cade Cunningham, Darius Garland, and Tyrese Maxey. I ain't gonna lie. It don't even feel like Shea beat right here, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Nah, I'm going cap.
Real point of contention when it comes to SGA.
Compared to all the games that I've watched personally,
one of the odd and
I feel
universally
like
accepted aspects of NBA
Jaylen Brown
basketball is that
or Jason
superstars
Tatum should be
get
on this
calls.
list.
This has been a thing since
Foul
the
hunt.
inception of the league. Once you transcend that highest tier of player, you essentially get the benefit of the doubt, even at times when you shouldn't.
He never controlled it, Michael. He never
picked it up and then he took
but he didn't touch it with both hands.
Yeah,
That's
he
the
did.
thing. You think so, Michael? 55 hits, 2 to come. Michael, I didn't see 2 hands on him, Michael.
Yeah,
But I believe you.
you did.
But I believe you.
We know this, and we accept it. And Shea is a superstar, except he hasn't consistently gotten these phantom superstar calls this season. Since the introduction of tracking data back in 1996, there have been
Free throw rate
36
among
instances
30
of a player
plus
averaging at
players.
least 30 points per game for a season. And when ranking these 36 individual seasons according to free throw rates,
James Harden averaged the
SGA
most.
this season ranks 26th, behind guards like Harden, Wade, Iverson, and Luka. But
And
again,
LeBron.
most shooting fouls should come from shots taken in the paint or around the rim. Of course, players do get clipped on threes and long jumpers and draw fouls by other means, but really it's getting downhill that tends to generate trips to the line. And specifically among guards, Shea gets into the paint and attempts more shots from inside than any other prolific scorer
Okay,
since the
nah, I see what he's
introduction
saying.
of tracking data.
I see
This
what he's
season,
saying. I see
Shea
what
is
he's
attempting
saying.
nearly
'Cause
54%
2023, Shea was
of
at
all of his
58,
shots from
or
within
almost
10
at
feet of the
58.
basket. Meanwhile, players like Kobe, Iverson, Luka, Harden, and Dame all have multiple seasons where they weren't getting into the paint nearly
Or
as much
52%.
and still yielded far more trips to the free throw line. Shea is statistically the most aggressive volume scoring guard in recent NBA history. He
Yeah,
takes
I
the
could
most
agree.
shots that
I could
historically
definitely
should earn
agree.
trips to the
Shea
free throw
definitely be
line,
doing
and
his
there
thing.
isn't a single metric that suggests his free throws are inflated or unwarranted. Of the previously mentioned 36 seasons of 30 points or more a game, the average number of free throws taken per game across the board is 10. This season, Shea is averaging just 8.3. So,
Yeah.
if anything, considering his usage and his play style, Shea is actually not getting enough calls. If we've learned anything from witnessing the last decade of scoring maestros, it's that this is just the nature of great scorers. They're hard to stop. They force the defense to get physical, they get you in positions you don't want to be in, overreacting, reaching, even taking gambles hoping it yields you a stop or a turnover, when more often than not, it's just going to end up in another trip to the free throw line.
Real
And
talk.
on an abstract scale of basketball morality,
It's because the NBA rules have changed so much, chat. Like the rules of the NBA has definitely changed and definitely like overlapped a lot of shit that's going on. I ain't gonna lie. So y'all wanting to call certain and specific shit, I ain't gonna lie, is kind of irrelevant because some things don't get called in the NBA nowadays, and some things do. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't even gonna sit here and lie to y'all. It definitely does happen. And it's okay that it happens, but it's more so just on the fact of like, it's more so on the fact of the NBA has definitely got softer than what everybody is used to in the 2010s. So you guys cannot be mad. I'm not gonna lie. You cannot.
I don't think SGA plays an unethical style of hoops. I think he's a better and more prolific scorer than some fans are willing to give him credit for. He's not relying on free throws to get his numbers. When compromised, the defense is relying on fouling him just to slow him down.
Real
Most
talk.
of Shea's drawn shooting
Real
fouls
talk.
look something like this, where he drives into the lane and inexplicably rips through the defender's arms to put up a shot.
Yeah.
It is damn near impossible to predict, and it works almost every time a defender cuts him off or puts a body on him. And we've seen this before with James.
That last one against the Celtics wasn't a foul.
Almost every time a defender cuts him off or puts a body on him. And
Who is this? The Hornets? Yeah,
we've seen this
that wasn't a foul. Marcus Smart is on his backside. I ain't gonna lie. As a nigga that play basketball, yeah, that's not something that you should call as a foul.
Before, with James Harden, a free trip to the line disguised as a shot attempt. In fact, this is like the 2.0 version of Harden's rip-through, because it does a much better job of masking itself as an actual shot rather than an attempt to just draw a foul. And I think that's where most fans get frustrated with this kind of basketball. It's not necessarily the outcome of the move, but rather the intent. Because we know he's not actually trying to score the ball here. He is purely looking for a foul, and he knows he can get these calls. And you could call this unethical hoops, or you could call it smart basketball. Kobe Bryant was notorious for making opposing players pay for
Kobe
bad
used to
defense,
always make people
drawing
jump on
fouls
pump
for the
fakes.
sake of drawing fouls. And when he did it, it wasn't viewed as his fault for taking advantage of the rules. It was the defender's fault for falling for the move in the first place. If you don't want to get baited, don't fall for the bait. You reach, I teach, as some half-decent basketball player once said. Take this play here, where he gets the defense on his hip, out of position, and reaching in to disrupt the shot. Now, Shai is baiting the foul here, and he's going to get it every time, because he already beat the defense 3 steps ago. Or this play here, where Shai has a 7-footer in a mismatch, feeds him the bait, and Markkanen falls for it, leading to the shooting foul.
That was always a foul. That was always a foul for Kobe. That was always a foul for Kobe. No ifs, ands, buts about it. That was always a foul for Kobe. I ain't gonna lie. Hold on, real quick.
Act of basketball sin, intentionally jumping into the defender instead of just pulling up off the step back. But I don't see it that way. You've got a 7-footer on an island with no help guarding the league's leading scorer, and you leave your feet on a pump fake. Shai isn't playing unethical hoops. He's taking advantage of bad defense. All the great scorers knew this, and they all took advantage of it. As much as we resented the tricks James Harden would deploy throughout his prime scoring years, it's worth asking the question, was it the foul baiting and free throws that allowed him to be the scorer he was? Or was he such a great scorer that he could bend the defense to his will whenever he wanted to? Same thing goes for a player like Joel Embiid. If the gimmicks added an extra 10% to his production, would we concede that he was in fact a historic scorer, even if he had
Joel
90%
Embiid
of
was
the
actually
production,
tough.
but he did it ethically? Among high-volume scorers
Joel
of
Embiid
this
was
century,
actually
players
tough.
who averaged at
He
least
was
30 points per
actually
game since
tough. I ain't gonna
2000,
lie.
according to this idea of honest scoring, 2016 Stephen Curry would be the most ethical scorer, averaging 30 points per game with just 5 free throw attempts. And on a scale of free throw reliance, 2025 Shai is far closer to Steph than he is to countless other all-time great scoring seasons. If SGA's game falls into the category
Where's
of
2024 SGA? 2024 SGA. 2025 SGA. He is close to Steph, but he's more closer to like Luka
unethical
and Bradley Beal. And like, is there an NBA height limit? Wait, is there a height limit in the NBA? Nah, there's no height limit, bro.
hooper, then so does Kobe's, and Luka's, and Dame's, and Iverson's, and Durant's, and all of our favorite all-time great scorers. It is an unfair label on one of the best individual seasons in recent NBA history, and it is objectively not true. And if none of that changed your mind, then maybe this will. Here is every single season in modern NBA history where a player averaged at least 25 points per game, 354 individual seasons since 1980, and they are graphed in terms of scoring average and free throw attempts per game. The further right a player is, the more free throws they attempted. The further up a player is, the more points they averaged. So way off to the right are the seasons of all-time high free throw attempts. And
Who's
where
at
you'll
this
find
top?
most historic scoring
Is that
seasons,
SGA?
like some Embiid seasons, some LeBron seasons, Jordan's highest scoring seasons, Luka,
No, it's
Harden,
Jordan.
Shaq. Even the pure bucket getters like Durant and McGrady often found themselves at the line during the peak of their powers. So where does Shai's 2025 season land? It's right here. The 18th highest
No,
scoring
Shai's
season in
good,
modern
bro.
NBA
Shai
history,
is good,
attempting
bro.
just the
Every
142nd
time
most free throws
player,
per game.
a player with,
And that, my friends,
maybe
is some
it-
honest, homegrown, ethical
they would
hoops.
deem it illegal. No, they would never deem it illegal. It depends on how they play. Yo, no, Shai is good. According to this graph right here, Shai is absolutely good though, chat. I don't even think y'all can see it. Right? Y'all will be absolutely fine if SGA was right here compared to the bottom of the pack, compared to the top of the pack. considering that he might have mad MVP votes this year, bro, he's actually okay, bro. I'm not gonna lie, he's actually fine, bro. So if it ever comes a 10-foot player with maybe even a long arms, would they deem it illegal? Nah, they wouldn't deem it illegal. It depends on how that player plays when it comes to playing overseas or in the high school or college. You get what I'm saying? Like, it depends on how they play. So if they play like in a way that like seems, in my opinion, if they play in a way that seems kind of like weird, you feel me? Then it comes like, oh yeah, you might not be able to be drafted to the NBA. That's what I feel. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know the true. I don't know how these scouts actually scout for players and shit, but like that's what I might be thinking.